Hello and welcome to another episode of GoodCast, a podcast produced by Goodwill North Central Texas, where we take a closer look at the story behind the store and highlight successes made possible thanks to the generous donations of everyday people. I'm your host, Justin. Did you know May is Mental Health Awareness Month? Mental health, as described by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, refers to our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. These factors play a huge role in determining how we deal with stress, make decisions, and how we connect with the people around us. Mental Health Awareness Month was started in 1949 by the Mental Health America organization in order to raise awareness about mental health care, provide educational materials to the general public, and help individuals learn strategies for attaining mental health and wellness. This event is also recognized by the U.S. government, with presidential proclamations put in place that are aimed to remove the stigma surrounding mental health and more recently help Americans navigate these spaces throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. The theme for this year's observance is Back to Basics and is focused on feelings of stress, isolation, and uncertainty experienced by individuals throughout the past 2 years. Mental Health America, the organization that helped launch this observance, is actually still a pretty active member of this conversation and has a great list of resources available on their website. You can find a link to that information in the episode description, but I'll go ahead and give y'all the number for MHA's Crisis Center as well. You can text MHA to 741-741 or call 1-800-273-8255 to reach a trained crisis counselor 24/7 any time of year. Spanish language support is available, and once again, you can find all that information in the episode description. Goodwill North Central Texas, for its part, advocates for mental health resources that can help individuals overcome barriers to employment through its workforce development partnerships and GoodLife. For example, in addition to job development and skills training support for veterans and their families, VetWorthy connects clients to other necessary community resources such as mental health counseling, housing assistance, food assistance, and legal aid. Here to talk more about GoodLife is Kate Dawson, our Director of Employee Engagement.
My name is Kate Dawson. I am the Director of Employee Engagement here at Goodwill North Central Texas. I've worked here for 12 years now, and I started in a different position, always been within human resources, but I started as a corporate trainer. And then as we started developing the GoodLife program, I transitioned into that in 2015.
Okay. So what is GoodLife?
So GoodLife is a program that is 100% for our employees. It was born out of a community needs assessment that we did in 2015, where we were really assessing just with our community and our own population what the strongest needs were at home and at work. And we saw a lot of similarities of what our own employees struggle with, as does the community. And so Goodwill in general offers so many services to our community when it comes to training and employment, but we really wanted to focus more on what we could do for our own employees, as we know that they were having some of these needs as well, and how we could specifically address those. GoodLife has two main focuses. One is to help employees overcome obstacles getting to work and being successful at work. So that means different things for different people. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's overcoming physical obstacles like transportation or access to affordable childcare. But then there's also situations where employees are physically at work, but mentally your mind is in a million different places because you're dealing with a stressful situation at home. Mm-hmm. And so that's where it really, it comes into being successful as well. So the employees, when they have these types of struggles or these needs, they're encouraged to reach out to the GoodLife program, see what we can do with services we have within the organization, or if we can't address that with services we have, then to set them up with a community provider, and then really follow up, provide case management, make sure that that employees know they're supported along the way. And then the other part of the program, the other focus is on employee well-being. So there's three main areas we look at, which is physical health, mental health, and financial health. So in those three areas, we have educational opportunities that we offer to employees. We have incentives that we offer to help encourage healthier lifestyles. We try to do learning events and just all sorts of things, included a GoodLife newsletter that goes out on a monthly basis where there's a goal that's within one of those three categories that really encourages people to look at what the goal is for that month, and then in addition support them with additional resources or help or assistance that GoodLife can provide to help achieve that goal.
Okay. So you were with it from its very inception.
Yes.
That's cool. I know sometimes we'll launch a program and then it's surprise, this is yours now. So what was it about those three categories specifically that, made you feel like that was what you wanted to focus on?
I think that those three categories just kind of fit nicely with different things that I knew that were going on when it came to the well-being. So financial health is just always a passion of mine. I feel like that can make the biggest impact. A lot of times these things blend into each other. So for instance, if you're stressed about finances, then your mental health is probably struggling, and your physical health can actually struggle because of it too. So that was really important that we try to do what we can to, like I said, not only encourage those healthy financial lifestyle changes, but also to just see what we could do, programming that we could do to support employees, and also really let the rest of us know, including leadership, the board, whomever, to give kind of a reality check of what our employees face on a day-to-day basis. And then on the mental health side of things, that's just a constant. It's just something that we all constantly have to work on. Obviously, we're just coming out of the pandemic, and really still going through the pandemic.
Right.
And that has just taken such a mental toll on everyone. And so there's different seasons of mental health and what our employees need. And fortunately, I think in society and culture, it's more accepted to seek help and assistance. We have an awesome EAP benefit here where it allows our employees and their family members to seek 5 counseling sessions for free. Right. Which is great, because even when counseling is readily available, it's not always the most affordable option to employees that might be living more paycheck to paycheck.
Or quick. Trying to find a therapist can take months.
That is true. And I've heard actually that that just recently, within the past couple of years, that's only gotten worse. I know that I've heard, I was listening to the news the other day and said that people that were trying to find help for their kids, a child that has expressed an issue and really needs help, and they couldn't get an appointment until 2 months later.
Right.
So that is definitely a challenge. That's something that, I'm sure everybody has struggled with, and you do what you can. And then, of course, there's smaller issues that, again, are just day-to-day things that I try to encourage people to think about that can improve our just quality of life and how we live each day, that still fall under that emotional well-being.
Some direct things that y'all do, or that I've heard of GoodLife doing, is you can help people get free or low-cost glasses. You can point them towards legal counsel and stuff. And then we also have health screenings that come not only for employees, but also people in the community. So how do you make those connections?
Since 2015, when we really started, it was a lot of attending different organizations, monthly or quarterly meetings, and just finding out about all these resources. But there's a lot of things that people are doing, and just, maybe it's another nonprofit organization and with a lower marketing budget. And so sometimes it takes word of mouth or really being in the right circle to know what services are provided. part of the vision screening is detecting any health issues. And last year there was an employee who participated in the vision screening, and they were able to detect early signs of glaucoma, and she was able to refer her to some free resources that she was able to go to. So, and that's, I mean, glasses are a big deal, but detecting something that could turn into something as a serious illness, such as that, and lead to blindness, then that is a really cool thing where you just, at the end of the day, you're just like, yes, that's what we're able to do for people and make it convenient. Convenient is a really big part of some of these on-site health preventions that you've mentioned. Doing on-site vaccinations, for instance, maybe people that wouldn't want to get a COVID vaccine or a flu vaccination on their own time just because they have to make time to do it. And because we offer it at work, then there's really no excuse. If you're somewhat interested, you can just walk over and get it done. And so we're really happy that we can do that for our group.
So what is like the overall goal or hope for your department? Is it just, employee satisfaction, or are y'all really like hoping to make a difference in the community at large by like making all of these connections?
So we certainly have metrics that we look at. I mean, we have a certain amount of services that we hope to provide. Our ultimate goal, number one, is really just awareness and educating people. Step number one is just recognizing where you are and understanding where there might be an issue and where there might be room to improve. And so that is a really big step for a lot of people, especially, working with some of the populations we do where they have real issues when they go home. We try to meet them where they are, work on individual goals where they are. If we could really make a difference with our population and minimizing some of these things, then not only would we be, and most importantly, helping the longevity and just, life quality of our employees, but we could also be saving the company money, which therefore then goes back into our programs and services, and we would have more funds to go into what we do for our mission.
So since it is Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yes.
What are some of the things or some of the resources that y'all are pointing people towards?
So the main resource we work with a employee assistance program, the EAP. We work with an organization called ComPsych. And it provides 5 free counseling sessions, as I mentioned, to employees. And it's really cool because not only is it offered to our employees, but it's offered to their immediate family members and anyone in their household. So as many people know, if you're living with someone, maybe it's just a roommate or a significant other or whomever, and they're going through something, it affects you. There's no way that it doesn't impact you in some way, especially if it's something pretty major. Or, we have a lot of families whose kids might be going through something or spouse might be going through something. And so with the program that we have and the benefit that we offer with the EAP, it allows them, if they wanted to go as a family, they can go as a family. If that individual in their household just wanted to go independently, they could. They can also attend virtually, and that's actually per issue per year. So if they have a situation with grief come up at one part of the year and then with stress at another part of the year, they would have 5 additional sessions.
Okay.
And then, so the other thing that we'll work with people on is understanding that mental health can be covered by your health insurance. So like I said, because I work in HR, and I also help with people's benefits, then that's something that we focus on. Some people don't realize that the medical leave that we all have a right to through the government has a something called Family Medical Leave Act, which means that if we have our own health condition or health condition of a family member, we have up to 12 weeks to have job protection to take care of whatever that health issue is. And most of the time, physical health issues come to mind with managers or employees.
Right.
However, FMLA can definitely relate to a mental health issue as well. Sometimes you have a person who's overwhelmed, has a lot going on and they feel like their only outlet might be to quit or to just stop communicating with their manager at all.
Right.
Maybe just call in multiple days in a row because they're just overwhelmed. Anyway, that FMLA can give them a peace of mind, give them just a breath, be able to take maybe 2 or 3 weeks to get under the care of their doctor, figure out how to best move forward, and hopefully be able to come back to work and be productive for themselves. And then lastly, I would just say we have several community resources too that we can offer at a discounted or sometimes even free, just depending on household size and income, like through Texas Wesleyan. They offer counseling services, a lot of times offered by their graduate students who are going through counseling programs and require certain credit hours. So that's just an example.
I had no idea that was a thing.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. So there are programs and things out there that we can refer. Sometimes people need more than 5 sessions from the EAP. So we can refer them to other resources we know in the community too. You know, there's so many cool options that are offered online now. And I've just looked into them just for recommendations for others or friends or family. And yeah, I mean, even what they're calling low cost is still like an $80 to $90 cost per session. And that's very unaffordable for a lot of people, not only for our employees, but just a lot of people in the community in general.
Y'all put together the monthly email blast that goes out to folks.
Yes.
This month has stuff like from the American Heart Association, I think, that was like 10 tips to reduce stress and improve your mental health. Do you ever like adapt some of those habits for yourself, like as you're doing research?
Yeah, I definitely think so. Again, so I think one of those tips are, connecting with relationships and making them important. And I know that, again, this can seem small and silly, but my friends, as you get older and different people go different ways, some people like physically live in different states. Sometimes people are just their own families have kind of taken their time and it makes it difficult. So we started using an app called Marco Polo. And, at first I wasn't really into it and I wouldn't get on all the time. But I've realized one of the things that truly brings happiness in my life and just something that I enjoy is time with friends and laughing and connecting. And would I rather do it in person? Of course, but this little app that we started using is really helpful in just making sure that we all can check in maybe a couple times a week, find out what's going on in each other's lives, tell a funny story. And I don't know, it's just been pretty cool. It's like brings a smile to your face and I've really enjoyed it. And it's just those small connections. I think one of those recommendations was find a time to connect with family and friends on a weekly basis. And so for some people that might be calling someone on the way to work or the way home from work or setting up a time. And that's something that I've started doing more as well. It's so easy just to look up and realize, oh my gosh, I haven't seen this person in 6 months who I care about so much.
Right.
And, I love hanging out with anytime we're with each other. And so yeah, you can be intentional. I'm really big on being intentional about certain things that are important to you in your life. So you can say, hey, every other month, like the first Friday, we're going to make a point to get together and do something, not something that's going to be overwhelming. But like I said, for me in my life, I just realized those relationships are really important. I don't want them to slip away. And so in order for me to walk by talk, then I will have to be intentional about setting aside that time. We all get busy. We can all make excuses as to why it's hard to connect.
Right.
But there's little things like even the Marco Polo app that you can use.
Right. Have you seen those devices? I don't know like when they got popular, but they're essentially like little plastic shapes. Sometimes it's like a box that like it's connected almost like a walkie-talkie, so that when you touch it, like it lights up in another person's house.
Yes, yeah.
Like, I don't know. That just
I've always thought that those sounded really cool.
It sounds really neat.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, hey, like this person's thinking of me. That's really nice.
I know. Whenever I don't know when I first came across those, but I thought that seems, a little on the silly side. But I'm like, no, if I had something sitting there, especially if you were long distance from family.
Right.
And, my sister lives 3 hours away. And I thought, yeah, if she can just sit there and you're just having a thought. It doesn't necessarily have to be a phone call or a text message, but just like a little flash knows that people are thinking of you. For sure. I think in this life, it's really easy. Even if you don't have something chronic going on, like a couple of days where you can just be in a funk or in a low period. And if you're isolated away from family where you're not seeing them all the time, then having any little reminder, sometimes we underestimate what sending a quick text message to somebody is.
Right.
I've been motivated by some of these things that we've sent to people to even do that, just say, hey, I haven't spoken to you in a while. I thought of you randomly. Hope you're doing well. Like, I hope we can connect soon. Just to let somebody know you're thinking about them can go a long way.
To close this out, would you have like any tips or pieces of advice for, either people just like finding out about mental health awareness or, who are kind of going through it right now?
There's so many resources out there. You can sign up for texting services. I think just as important as it is to know how to check in with our own mental health and know if something's going on, there's it's really important to know when family members and friends are going through something as well. When somebody mentions something to you, like they make an offhanded comment of that they're going through something or they're kind of in a dark place, or even when their offhanded comment is maybe a little bit more serious than that, it can be really uncomfortable and we don't really know what to do with it or what to make of it. And everybody reacts differently. There's also a mental health assessment tool. I talked a bit ago about how a lot of what we try to do is just finding people where they are. Right. And then everybody's going to be at different stages when it comes to health or financial health, and then making movements from there. And so that mental health assessment can check in to see if maybe you have something more serious going on. Maybe for you, it's not something that is more serious. Maybe it's something, though, that still should be addressed.
Right.
And so at the end of the assessment, it will give you some recommendations and it will kind of let you know how what your results were and how they came out. And if you have something that they strongly suggest that you look into a bit more. And I think that's really important because unless we have context, a lot of us don't know. So those types of tools can really help guide us.
Right. And I think a large part of that, either no matter who you're talking to, as long as you're having those conversations, whether it be with a friend, family member, coworker, whoever, like you are making it that much easier for the next person by, removing the stigma around mental health and all the negativity that can be associated with it. Because like you said, it's stuff that we all go through like throughout the year. And so it helps normalize it and get us to a better place. Yeah,
no, I think that's so right. Just because it's one of those things that we all go through, but we just don't all talk about for whatever reason. And yes, 100%. Don't underestimate the importance of when you're with friends or family, bringing up things that you're going through, checking in and asking other people. A lot of times when we're with people that we care about, we're just talking about the fun times or and that's understandable. We've all worked. And so like your downtime, you want it to be downtime. But I definitely think there's a time for just being real with the people that you're around, making sure that sometimes when you disclose things about yourself, like you said, you make it okay for them to talk about themselves. And you might learn something about somebody you had no idea that they were going through, and can really be a lifesaver for a person in different situations.
Once again, I'd highly recommend checking out the list of resources available in the episode description, either for yourself or someone you know. There's always a space for folks to seek out the help they need. Sometimes it just takes a little encouragement. I'd like to thank Kate for speaking with me, and thank you all so much for listening. We'll see you in the next episode. Happy Mental Health Awareness Month. You have been listening to GoodCast, a podcast produced by Goodwill North Central Texas. To stay up to date on all things Goodwill NCT, be sure to check out our social media and sign up for our newsletter. And if you have a second, we'd appreciate it if you could share the show with a friend or leave us a review on iTunes. It is the fastest way to help the show grow. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you find podcasts.